Fascinating conversations, Ross. I think that reflecting on your best films is very different from looking forward to films, because it comes down to the cast or the director or the buzz or the glory days of another film and a director and actor combination getting back together. But we haven't seen the film. This is the thing. Hindsight is beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah.
But looking forward to films is a completely different kettle of fish. So why don't I kick it off, and I'll talk about a handful of films that I'm really looking forward to in the new year. I guess we can't look too far ahead anyway, because we don't quite know when necessarily everything's dated. So we're probably looking at the first 6 to 7 months of 2024. But touching on my comment about a director and actor combination getting back together, do you remember a little film called Sideways?
Yes.
Sideways is a stunning film, came out 15, 16 years ago, I think, off the top of my head. Paul Giamatti and Alexander Payne. They've got a film called The Holdovers coming out on the 11th of January in New Zealand cinemas. And again, I'm going to go back to my team party the other night. It was pretty much half of the staff, and I'm talking a pretty wide age demographic here, from me, the old fella at the top, down to one of our youngest team members saying that The Holdovers is one of their most anticipated films of 2024.
Yeah, it's very interesting, isn't it? Because
the
trailer doesn't really strike me as like exciting.
Yeah.
It's quite sort of a slow burn,
Yep.
but the film is getting rave reviews.
Yeah, another film I should have touched on, actually, the best Kiwi film of last year was Uproar. I thought that film was fantastic, beautifully done. We did a Q&A here with Sonia and Paul, the screenwriter and director of the film. Showed it to a small but fervid audience who loved the film. They had actually been to Toronto with the film. Paul and Sonia had both seen The Holdovers at Toronto and said by far the best film they saw. And they saw a lot of stuff, and they said it is absolutely amazing. Very funny, very good. So off the back of that, my expectations have been raised. So when I'm looking forward to other films for the first part of the year, I guess I want to touch on Perfect Days, which I've already seen, but I'm throwing that in there as a film that I want people to go and see. Highly recommended. Beautiful film. So I'm telling you, you need to go and see it.
I'll give it a shot.
Other films I'm looking forward to, the sequel to Dune 2.
Yep.
Really excited. I recently watched the first film again. I know that the first film's actually getting a theatrical re-release in the lead up to the second film, so we may well be showing that on the big screen again, so people can get into the zone. What else have we got here? Mickey 17 from the director of Parasite. That is his new film starring Robert Pattinson. So that's really interesting also, because Warner Brothers have actually made it block letters on the CPS, which means they're going wide, which means they must have seen early screenings of it and decided that this film needs to get as big a possible release in New Zealand as possible. Yeah, so I'm really excited for that film. And then a film that is also pretty exciting is Challenges from Luca Guadagnino, who also did Bones and All and Call Me By Your Name. That film is has Zendaya, who is also in Dune. She's a tennis pro.
Yes.
And she's got her tennis pro boyfriend, and it's a sort of a love triangle sort of story. On paper, it looks really fantastic. I'm not so sure about the trailer. However, the buzz that's sort of happening out, the subtle buzz out in internet land is actually extremely positive. So being a tennis player myself, that's one I'm going to throw in the mix.
Yeah.
How about you?
Okay, I'm going to go in reverse order, so I'm actually going to scroll back down.
You've actually got numbers.
I have lots of films. Okay, so the new Joker film, Joaquin Phoenix and Lady Gaga. She's playing Harley Quinn. He's obviously playing Joker. That film to me is going to be, hopefully, if it fires on from Joker, could be one of the big standout films of 2024.
Because the first film was genuinely great.
Yes. And
it kept playing. So as cinema owners, we loved it.
Yeah, and it surprised a lot of people, because it was so, again, this is where the Hollywood hate machine starts early, because when that was being filmed, we got Joaquin Phoenix, Joker, it's going to be too. And then they started going on about how violent it was and how it was going to terrible and blah, 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 blah. And then when the film came out, just critics and audiences loved it. And it blew people's minds. So it's that whole don't judge a book by its cover situation. Don't judge a movie by its trailer. I mean, just because the trailer may not excite you, or somebody says early on from a photograph that's been taken on a set that's been leaked by the studio out to the masses, they go, oh, that film looks terrible. Well, how would you really know?
Well, hopefully based on your comments about the first film, it does live up to the hype.
Oh, look, if it does, it'll be brilliant. And that could be a real big one. And I think Deadpool, if they do that right, and they stick to the formula that made the first one really, really good, that'll be fantastic.
And introducing Wolverine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. One for the sort of science fiction people will be A Quiet Place Day One. I think A Quiet Place Day One, if you're a fan of the Quiet Place films, this takes place literally on the day that they arrive.
Yep.
And that film is going to... It's one of those films which it doesn't just... Like with a lot of alien stories, the aliens arrive and the ship sits above them and everybody's like, oh, what's going to happen? Nothing like that at all. It's literally like, boom, we're here, and they just start going for it, wiping people out.
I'm not a fan necessarily of the Quiet Place films, but the trailer's fantastic.
Yeah,
Yep.
it looked really, really
Yep.
good. And we did see a little cut of the trailer from
That conference.
conference, yeah, and that trailer looked really, really good. Another movie, obviously, we talked about was Ballerina from the John Wick universe. I think that looks potentially good if it follows on to that same kind of vibe.
Anna de Armas?
Yes, yeah, she plays the titular character of Ballerina, who is basically an assassin. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
Yep.
The Planet of the Apes films, again, they started strong, they kind of tailed off, they sort of lost their way a little bit, but it's been a little while. It's been a beat since they had a Planet of the Apes film. So the trailer from the most recent one looks very, very strong.
And it has the same release date as Furiosa.
Yes, and it's around... Look, one of the things I noticed in the trailer was the costumes that the apes are wearing were very much Roddy McDowell Planet of the Apes TV series from like the 70s. And I immediately clocked that, and I was like, because I'm old, I immediately clocked it and I thought, that could be quite special. So we'll see how that one goes. I am going to talk more about mainstream film here to a degree, but, The Fall Guy,
Yep.
Ryan Gosling.
Has great potential, I think.
Has great potential. Filmed in Australia, and I'm not sure where else they filmed it, but people might have caught it on the news a few months back, where Ryan Gosling was being dragged along the Sydney Harbour Bridge on the back of a truck and skating along with sparks flying out behind him. Just looks really, really fun, and it's based on the TV series from the 70s, I want to say. Sequel, because Hollywood loves sequels, is Ghostbusters Frozen Empire.
My kids are pumped for that movie.
Yeah. I thought that the Ghostbusters film that they did last year, was it last year?
Yes.
2022?
21, I think.
2021.
Yep.
Gosh, it goes quick, doesn't it?
That does.
Well, anyway, that film I thought really reinvigorated Ghostbusters, and I told Brent the story on the podcast yesterday about how I'd skived off school and changed clothes and gone off to Auckland to watch the film and then got back on the bus and all the rest of it, got back into my school uniform to see the original Ghostbusters. And I felt that the Ghostbusters that came from 2021 was solid, right back to return to form. And this one, if they follow that up and they stick to the formula and they don't sort of just try and do what's popular as opposed to do what's right, I think that film will be great.
The trailer looks fun. It's got a Bananarama song in it. And also, when the shards of ice start coming down, I saw someone joke on the trailer, on the YouTube comments, that, hey, maybe the villain is Elsa.
Brilliant. Yeah, actually it could be, because Gozer can be anything. Can't. Oh, there you go. Spoiler.
Sony Disney crossover.
Yeah, that'd be great. Dune 2, you touched on that. That's definitely on a highlight reel for me. And the film that I think, there's a movie called Argyle, which comes out on the 1st, which is a play on the whole romance. It's kind of like Romancing the Stone, where a woman who writes books gets caught up in a thing that reflects her book and inspired by her book. So it's a bit of a different take on that. And it's got Henry Cavill in it, who is fantastic, and Sam Worthington. Is it Sam Worthington? No, it's the other one.
It's the other Sam.
What's his name?
From 3 Billboards.
Yes.
It's got Bryce Dallas Howard as the author.
Yes. I can't remember
a
Sam's last name.
fantastic
I couldn't remember Sam's last name yesterday. Sorry,
Fantastic
Sam.
cast.
Yeah, it does look good.
That comes out quite soon, actually. And there's also a little bit of a theory that you might have seen. The teaser poster has the cat backpack with the little bubble window on it. That's a Taylor Swift thing. Taylor Swift is a cat fan, and she has a backpack with a little cat window on it to carry her cats around. So there's some suggestion that there might be
a nod to Taylor.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Taylor fans.
They take the face off, and it's Taylor all along.
Man.
And the last film I want to talk about, and again, we touched on this earlier, biopics, is the Bob Marley film, which is called One Love. That is the 14th of February opening for Valentine's Day. It is the story of Bob Marley and how he found fame, his family, attempt on his life, and his obvious eventual death. And I think that film is going to be the film for summer, February.
Yeah, interesting.
And I think it's going to, I mean, obviously, everybody, like, my mother is 84. She cannot wait to see that film. She was a Bob Marley fan back in the 70s and
Yep.
the 80s. And so she's very much wanting to see that film. And again, it crosses age groups, it crosses ages, and it crosses sexes. Bob Marley is just an amazing all-round gift to the world from a musical perspective, and I
Sure.
think that this film is going to be up there with the Queen biopic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of biopics, actually just recently dated by Studio Canal for April 25th is the Back to Black biopic,
Amy
which is
Winehouse.
the Amy Winehouse
Yeah.
one. So in the space of a couple of months, there's actually 2 of them coming out.
Yeah.
November would be nice, but you know.
Yeah, well, you know,
Make
can't,
sure you
can't have everything.
Make sure you program some 420 sessions for that Bob Marley movie, mate.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely. Look, that Amy Winehouse film, if it follows on from the Amy documentary, again, I think, you know, people love the music, and I think that, again, it'll just be strong box office and, you know, popular film. So you're going to have to book early if you want a good seat. That's the most important
Yeah, totally. What a mega list. Fantastic. I love it how you kind of went mainstream. I've gone for a little bit of art house stuff.
Oh.
It just shows that we're all different in the
Stick to
industry.
what you know.
But we love movies. It's been fantastic to have you along for the conversation, Ross.
Thank you.
It's been brilliant. I love that we've been able to have a genuine cinema to cinema conversation, which adds a really lovely twist to what Brent and I usually do. We've got the fan giggling away about his favourite movies that he's seen usually, and then we've got the industry guy. But it's really nice to have had an industry to industry talk.
Yep.
But when it all comes out in the wash, we're just big movie fans.
Absolutely.
And as you've heard today, we have got a huge amount of movies that we're really excited about, a huge amount of movies that have been our favourites for the year, a few not so much. But it's been wonderful to talk to you. Thanks so much for coming along and sitting in the wonderful Paradiso at Matakana
Yeah,
Cinemas.
it's a beautiful cinema here.
Maybe we'll have to head up to Cathay one day to do one.
I was going to say, maybe this time next year you come up to Cathay and we'll do one up there.
Sounds like a sweet deal.
Excellent.
Thanks, mate.
Thank you.